A month ago, I played like this. My aim was awful. I had horrible crosshair placement. My movement just wasn't that great. And overall, I just wasn't a good player. But I tried a new training regimen that I'm going to explain in this video, and now I play like this. So today I'm going to show you guys how I did it and how you guys can do it as well. Hey, what's up guys, it's Tibber here and welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are doing a video on how to aim on CSGO. So I've done videos like this in the past, but this is the most in-depth one, and this is probably the best one that I've done so far. So if you guys have seen the last video, this is basically that but cranked up to 11. Anyways, Logitech made a really good aim training / warm-up map called PlayMaster.gg, and we're going to be getting into that in just a little bit. But first of all, of course, I just want to mention the fact that, hey guys, I have a Discord server, I have a Twitter, I have a Twitch, all my social media links are in the description down below, so go check them out. And if you guys do want to support the channel, please consider checking out Skinport. I have an affiliate link down below. It's pretty much a CSGO marketplace where you can sell skins for real money and you can buy skins for way cheaper than market price. But anyways, let's jump into the video. Anyways, guys, this video will be broken up into 3 main segments. The first one is going to be just overall, like how to practice CSGO, like how to get the best results in the least amount of time. The second, obviously, is we're going to go into the Logitech PlayMaster map, and we're going to kind of break it down and explain like why each aspect is really helpful, the best ways to get the most out of it. And then the third way is actually going to be some alternative ways to practice, because right now Logitech PlayMaster is in beta and not everyone has access to it right away. So you might have to wait a little bit. So I'm going to have like a couple extra like training routines for you guys. But anyways, with all that being said, let's jump into it. So when it comes to getting good at Counter-Strike, there's so much to learn, obviously. I'm not even going to begin to get into everything, but I'll go over like the main highlights. So obviously there's a couple different ways to aim. There's flick aiming, where you basically flick to an enemy that's standing still, and then there's tracking aiming, where you basically try to keep your crosshair on the enemy. And that's more useful for enemies that are moving around. And there's a lot of ways to practice these, and we'll be going into a couple methods later on, but these are definitely some things you should take into account. Also, when it comes to Counter-Strike, there's more to the game than just mechanical skill, and this video is mainly just about developing your mechanical skill. There's also game sense, and then there's obviously your communication abilities. Being able to focus on those is also a vital part of the game. So, like, don't just train your aim expecting it to make you the best player in every lobby, because people can outsmart you, even if you have the best aim in the world. But obviously, if you do train your aim and you get it to a point where you can outgun most people and you can also develop your game sense, you can definitely get to global elite. And basically, the way that you develop good aim is through good habits, essentially. So you basically want to have a daily training regimen that you do every single day, maybe for like 10, 15, 20 minutes a day. You don't have to overdo it, obviously, because if you put in too much time, then you're not really going to see any results. Like after a certain amount of practice, you're wasting your time and you're not improving anymore. So it's good to do it in moderation, but do it every single day in repetition, because you actually learn the most when you sleep. So when you practice for 15 minutes a day and then you go to sleep, like your brain actually sorts all that stuff out and it figures out all the information. It can help optimize it essentially in your mind. And basically, if you want to develop good habits, all you have to do is just practice slowly and focus on accuracy over speed. For example, if you have to shoot a bunch of targets, you basically want to make sure you try to get as close to 100% accuracy. Regardless of how much time it takes, that really doesn't matter, because over time, as you focus on accuracy and as you become more precise, you'll naturally get quicker and quicker over time. Because when you rush too much and when you like try to like get it done as quickly as you can, you start to develop really bad habits, and that can hurt you in the long run. The thing about bad habits are they can be very, very hard to unlearn. So you're better off just learning it the right way the first time, so you don't have to waste all that time. Another huge thing is when you practice too much, you can actually burn yourself out, and that's going to make it so you won't want to practice the next day. So if you do it like, 10 minutes a day, for example, it's really not that difficult to do. All you have to do is just hop on, do your training routine for the day, and then boom, you're done. If you do that over the course of a month, though, you will 100% see results. I guarantee it. As long as you do it consistently, and as long as you just, as long as you stick to it. And the longer you stick to it, the better you'll get. But anyways, guys, let's get into the next segment of the video and let's talk about PlayMaster. So Logitech, so by the way, this video is not sponsored at all. Logitech didn't pay me anything. Actually, no site paid me anything for this video. This is just in my own personal opinion, but essentially PlayMaster is a really cool website. If you guys want to go check it out, it's in the description down below. You guys can go sign up for the beta. And essentially, Logitech made a really useful training tool that uses artificial intelligence to help you get the most results out of the least amount of time. And if you just do this, if you just do like a training routine on this every single day, you will definitely get better within a month, 100%. So obviously the first part of it is warming up, and that's kind of what I'm doing right here. But the main thing that makes this the best warm-up tool on the planet right now is the fact that it's actually hosted on a server, so you have to play with latency. So it actually gives you a more realistic experience for when you're actually playing in games. Because I know if you practice in an offline server, there's pretty much no latency, and you don't really have to compensate for any lag. But on here, you have to compensate for a little bit of latency, and it really helps you when you actually play the game. The second aspect of it, of course, is tracking accuracy. So you basically want to try to keep your crosshair on a moving enemy. And this can be very, very difficult in the short term. But as you do it more and more, it gets easier. So practicing this consistently will definitely make you a more consistent aimer. The next part of the training is aim training, and this is essentially just basically putting your crosshair on like a certain part of the screen and then flicking onto an enemy's head and trying to kill them as quickly as possible. The way to get the best results from this is to make sure you hit the headshot every single time, make sure your accuracy is good, and over time you will get better, and you will get faster, and you will speed up. Just remember, practice makes perfect. This next part, this is actually one of my favorite routines to do basically on here, and it's essentially peek training. So essentially there's an arrow pointing either left or right, and you have to basically peek the angle and take out the enemy. And this is really good. This is kind of like a situation that you're put into in a lot of games. And if you can react quickly after peeking an angle, it'll definitely help you win a lot more gunfights. Like if you can get really good at peeking angles based on this, it will definitely help your game, because this is one of the biggest, especially when it comes to entry fragging. This is one of the most important aspects of entry fragging, because it's all about peeking the angle, seeing the enemy, and then shooting them in the head faster than they can shoot you. And for this one, I try to just go for headshots, but if you want to go for body shots, if you just want to spray them, by all means, go for it. I definitely think headshots are the best way to practice this. This map also has recoil control practice too, which is a huge help, because a lot of people don't really practice their recoil control all that much. It's just, they just kind of, whenever they spray an enemy, they just kind of spray, they miss a lot of shots, but they don't really think about it. If you do this every single day, this can actually help you learn the patterns. And then as you get deeper into the training, it actually shows you exactly where to aim, so you can kind of build up the muscle memory. Because, knowing how to spray can help you in a lot of situations. On top of all that too, the map also has some parkour training too, so you can practice a lot of the more difficult jumps in this game, which in my opinion can definitely help you on some of the maps that have like, a more parkour aspect, like obviously Mirage, Cache, Overpass, like just any map essentially. There's some skill jumps you can do to save yourself a lot of time. And obviously, the more you practice, the better you get. Like if you want to learn how to do the Mirage window jump, this is probably one of the easiest ways to do it. Oh, also, that jump on Cache? Yeah, you can do that like this, just this easily. It's so simple. Personally, I really enjoy the movement aspect of CSGO. There's also a way to improve your perception too. And this is a perfect example of it. Essentially, like this is a training routine that a lot of people don't really do, but essentially the enemies basically shoot you from behind a wall or behind a smoke, and you have to figure out how close, you have to basically figure out where the enemies are. And then in this version, obviously you can't really see the enemies after the fact, but when you get into the actual training, you can see the enemies afterwards, and you can see how close you were to actually hitting the enemies, which I feel like is really useful. But this is a way to get better at actually listening to enemy footsteps and listening to like enemy positions. Essentially, this is a way to train your hearing to where you can basically become a bat with echolocation, straight up. You also can't forget about flick training. Essentially, you just zoom in with an op and you have to go for some really nutty flicks. And this is a way to kind of train it. Now, obviously, you want to start off slow and you want to focus on actually hitting the targets. And then over time, you can start to go for like some crazier flicks. Basically start slow and speed up over time. And the final training routine that you can actually do on here is called holding. And this is basically where you hold an angle and an enemy will basically run across and you have to try to shoot him. And this is very, very good for oppers especially. So if you're an opper, you definitely want to put a lot of time into this, because if an enemy is going to if he's going to run around a corner, this will definitely help you with those kind of engagements. Also, as you progress, it gets more and more difficult. Like right now, it shows you what angle the enemies are going to come from, but later on, it stops showing that. Also, later on, the gaps aren't nearly as wide, so you don't have as much of a chance, and there's also a chance they can jump too, so it really helps with your reaction time as well. So overall, this is really good training for anybody who opts or uses any kind of scoped weapon. But obviously, I do understand that right now, PlayMaster's in beta, and not all of you guys are going to be able to get access to it right away. So if you want more ways to train, or if you want to train outside of this, even if you do have access to it, then I have a couple more training routines coming right up. So on top of PlayMaster, there's so many other ways to practice your aim. Like you can use the map aimbots, for example. So one of my favorite routines to do is to get rid of 3 of the sides and then get rid of the longest angle for the last one. And then basically just, you know, you have all the bots right there, but you want to get rid of all of them except for one. So you just get rid of all of them, add one, and then you put on fast respawns. And essentially this is the perfect tool for basically going for those quick flick shot headshots essentially. And you just want to do this for maybe like 5-6 minutes. But obviously, since the enemies are just standing still, it's not the best practice. You can also get the enemies to move around a little bit to add a little bit of randomness to it. Because I feel like this is just much better training. Because let's face it, when you're playing competitive, people don't just stand still. They move around, they strafe, they make themselves difficult targets. So this is a lot more helpful. Even adding crates to the mix can definitely make your training a lot better as well, because it just makes the enemies harder to spot. It makes them tougher to see. It's just overall better practice, because the more difficult you make it, the more you're going to get out of it, the more results you're going to see. Like, you got to challenge yourself if you want to truly improve. So with aimbots, just feel free to do whatever you want. Feel free to experiment, make it difficult, make it easy. Do whatever you have to do to get the best training possible. And then next up, we're going to be talking about deathmatch servers. So there's actually 2 different types of deathmatch servers, and you guys probably know about it, but I might as well just give a little refresher. And then there might be a few people who don't know. So there's 2 types of servers in CSGO. There's 64 tick and 128 tick. Basically, 64 tick servers are just regular Valve servers, and then 128 tick they're basically twice as responsive, and those are community servers. And they're also more for competitive games. Like, so for example, if you play ESEA or Face It, you're going to be playing on 128 tick servers. If you play competitive exclusively, then I would recommend practicing 64 tick. If you're going to play Face It, ESEA, or if you're going to try to go pro, I would recommend playing 128 tick. Because it does make a difference with the sprays, it can make a difference with the way that the game feels, and then also it changes a lot of the smokes and the flashes and stuff too. Yep, but basically you want to hop on a 128 tick community deathmatch server, and you just want to go in and just, you know, practice your skills. You're not going in to get a high kill death ratio, you're not going in to like go on a long kill streak. You're just there to practice hitting your headshots. And then whether you're on a pistol server or like a headshot only server, you don't want to be lazy with the kills. Like, you don't want to be lazy with it. You don't want to just go for like the spray in a way that doesn't really help you grow. You want to try to go for some shots that you normally wouldn't be able to hit, and you want to focus on that so you can get better at hitting those, like, you know, one taps. You can use a game on Steam called Aim Lab, and this is another really good way to practice your aim. And there's so many different ways. There's so many different ways to practice your aim. We're just going to do grid shot real quick because I feel like this is the easiest. And then there's actually a ton of different routines you can do on the workshop. And if you don't have access to PlayMaster, then this is definitely a good alternative. But basically, this is a target shooting game. You can select CSGO, so it'll give you your exact CSGO sensitivity. And then you have to obviously set up your sensitivity and everything. But once you do all that, though, you can basically just hop on, shoot some targets, and it's pretty good practice. And when I was using it every single day, I could definitely feel my aim get a lot more consistent. So, I mean, even if you do have PlayMaster, you can also kind of use this on the side. Like, you can spend 10 minutes on PlayMaster and 10 minutes on this every single day. You know, if you do that every single day for a month, your aim will just get progressively better and better. Now, obviously, there are going to be good days and bad days because, you know, the way that the brain works is it's not 100%, you know, consistent. You're not always going to get better. You'll have some days where you play a little bit worse. There's just some inconsistencies, and you just have to be okay with that. But overall, guys, I hope the video was helpful. And if you guys did end up enjoying the video, be sure to hit that like button, and also subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to hit 100,000 subs before the end of the year. Actually, if we do hit 100K subs before the end of 2020, I have a huge giveaway planned. So just, you know, basically subscribe, hit that bell icon, and continue watching the content, and you'll be able to help us get there. Anyways, though, just let me know in the comments down below, what's your current training routine? Like, what do you guys do to practice CSGO, and what do you do to warm up every day? Just, yeah, let me know what you guys do in the comments down below, because I do read every single comment on these videos. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. It's Turbo, and I'm out. Peace.